Hello, my name's Adam. I am the founder of Dotcom Reps. I have about 14, 15 years worth of experience on Amazon, Vendor Central, Seller Central, KDP, and beyond. I kind of started before brand registry, AMS, all that good stuff. But I've had the pleasure of growing with the platform, and today I wanted to talk about item creation inside of Seller Central. There's a couple ways to do it for those of you that are new to the platform. Uh, the first way, which many amateurs decide to create items, is through add a product inside of your upper left hand menu on the catalog. You're going to get to this bar and you can either search for pre-existing items, so stuff that maybe you've bought in store and plan to do like a reverse arbitrage. You can simply look for that item, let's say peanut butter, and it'll come up with a list of pre-existing ASINs here, and if you find the one you're looking for, you select its condition, new, you'd attempt to sell this product, and you could add your seller SKU, which is internal to you, no one's going to see it, a price, quantity, its condition, and whether or not you're going to use FBM, meaning you plan to drop ship directly to the customer. That's what merchant filled means. So essentially right from you to them, or Amazon FBA, where you're going to ship the inventory into FBA and Amazon's going to handle your pick, pack, and ship. So you can select one of these two options. You'd hit save and finish if you're going to go this route. Now, you could also, let's go back here where we started. Click this option, for example, if you know that you are adding a product that doesn't exist on the site. So it's your own brand, you've private labeled it maybe, whatever the reason may be, it's not on Amazon yet. So you would select this option here. And you basically tell the system what type of product is it. Again, we'd look for peanut butter. I would anticipate this would be in grocery somewhere. And here it is, grocery gourmet food. There's several different options here. If it's not exactly what you're looking for, you type in something else. But that's how you can quickly find the category of product that you plan to list the product in, or you can sort of browse through the taxonomy here. Depending on what product it is, you can get to the same place. This tends to be much faster. Once you've done that, you're going to go through a template online, and it's going to walk you through that setup process, which looks like this. I tend to not use this form. A lot of people prefer it because it's kind of easy and step by step. You'll add your UPC here, the product title, the brand name, and there'll be several other tabs. It'll kind of walk you through and you continue as you go, and at the end you can save it, and that will create an item for you. Now, the problem with this method of item creation is that it's not considered a full update. If you have a brand registered yet, you likely will need to resync it in order to get it to work. This is kind of like the equivalent of a partial update for item creation, and it's not as in-depth as it would be had you used the inventory upload or a new item setup file. So we'll go through that process now. That's actually the preferred method. So we're going to discard this. We're going to back up. And before we get to that, I want to take a break and talk quickly about brand registry. So it is rather important if you're a new seller or you plan on developing a line of product that you highly consider a trademark. You can go through uspto.gov for this mark, or you can go through an Amazon program through the services menu and find an attorney in here who is a member of IP Accelerator. Now, there's several, approved law firms where you could essentially contact these folks from inside Seller Central, tell them you're interested in registering a brand. They'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours, generally speaking. And the nice thing about IP Accelerator, which is a special program that's synced in with USPTO, is that the period of time when you get your mark and can use it as it concerns Amazon and the advanced features brand owners get, that is greatly expedited. So you don't have to wait the traditional 1 year until you get your full registration through USPTO if you just contacted a traditional trademark attorney. Through this method, they can get that process in queue, and you have all of your brand rights and perks within 30 days. So I would highly advise doing this. The cost is about the same. If you're curious to know what that cost is, it's generally under $2,000. It might be $1,500, but that's going to include your trademark search and all the filing. So let's assume you've got the brand filed. You're going to go to brand registry, and that is brandregistry.amazon.com. So I generally advise being logged into Seller Central first before you get there. Once you do land here, and we're currently looking at one of our private label brands at the moment, but once you do land here, assuming you haven't signed up yet, it's going to ask you just to register your email address and acknowledge their terms and what have you. So when you get here and you've accepted their terms user agreement, it's a brief click. You're going to enroll a new brand, and down here at the bottom, there's a step to do that where it says enroll a new brand. Somewhere towards the top, you could do the same thing, manage intellectual property, and you'll go through that brand enrollment process. It's, again, a template like the item setup process that we showed moments ago. It's going to walk you through your brand name and be exact, your registration number. It wants to see the brand in use on the product. It's going to ask for your certificate or something similar, which if you don't have that, ask your IP Accelerator attorney. But they will generally know if you're in IP Accelerator so that you can go through the process and you don't get stuck with red tape if it's not fully filed. So you'll go through that process, and if approved, contingent on receiving of a code, your attorney will get an email from Amazon basically saying, someone's attempted to register this brand, do you approve of it? And there will be a code which your attorney has to then provide to you. You respond to a case created inside here. It will be under your seller support cases for brands that are to be enrolled now, or pending enrollment or pending approval. And you'll just respond back to Amazon with that code from your attorney, and likely within 24 hours of that, you'll have full acceptance of your brand. And from there, you're going to want to connect your brand to your store. So there's this tab here under Manage and Access Selling Benefits is where you get to it. You click Add Selling Account, and it's going to, and this is our brand here, Dry, one of our private labels. It's going to ask you your merchant token, or you could search for it. Now, if you're in Seller Central, you don't know where your merchant token is, you'd go here, account information, and essentially click this link, and it's going to pop up with a merchant token. I'm not going to show it to you just because it's proprietary on this particular private label, which we own. But that's how you'll get it. You'll input that here, search for it, it'll find the brand, click connect, boom, you're done. Now, the other thing important is under settings, you can do user permissions, and now you can have multiple parties with direct access to control your brand, the rights, file complaints, for example, which you would do here if you were to report a violation against another seller or someone violating your trademark or trade dress. So Brand Registry is a neat little tool. Now, I'm going over all this information because it's directly involved with the item setup. You want to have that brand ideally registered before you do the item setup. And if you don't, you'll just have to go through almost a full refresh of the ASIN, they call a full update, to sync your brand node and your ASIN. It's important that you do that because that's when you actually get the full rights, the full benefits of the brand protection matching each ASIN in your catalog. So ultimately, that's why that small, and easy add item tool is just not very good. It's if you're a reseller, it's okay. If you own your own brand, do not go that route. What you want to do is go to inventory or catalog and add products via upload. So from here, you're going to be downloading a spreadsheet. You're not going to want to list products that are already on Amazon. Likely, you're going to want to list products that are not currently on Amazon. And you click Get Product Template. You tell them it's for the U.S. market. And now you're going to go through that process of searching for the product type. Now, for this particular brand, it's a deodorant line. So we would search for deodorant, for example. And, you have several options here. Knowing that we've got approval on beauty and personal care and health and household inside of our brand registry, we can really select either of these categories. But it is important when you go through your brand registration that you tell the system all the product categories that you intend to list under. And ideally, those match what you've given your trademark attorney, so you actually have protection under those categories. But you can run into issues with your brand not properly being synced if you go outside of the realm of your trademark protection. So, for example, we've registered a product in beauty, right, for the brand, but then we try and sell something in tools. It's likely not going to fly, and you're going to have problems down the road in the event there's ever a complaint you need to file through a brand registry or some other severe catalog issue. Brand registry may essentially identify the fact that your category is not covered under your brand protection. So you do want to be careful during your brand registration process and protect yourself with all the selling categories you plan to sell under and list them when you create your mark. So when you get here, you can be sort of more open to the different subcategories that you select. So now that we've gone over that, I know there's a lot of details here. We would select, for example, this item setup file. The ITK is under deodorants. We would generate the template, right? It's downloaded. So now we're going to open that template. I'm just going to drag it over into this window so you can see it. And there's a lot of scary text here. You can kind of disregard some of this. I would almost disregard several of these tabs. They're not really important at the moment, and go to template. So from here, your product type is going to be the category, so body deodorant. Our seller SKU is going to be whatever we select that to be, and it's up to you again. And it's internal. The customer is not going to see this particular field, but it is one of the required fields for item creation. Our brand, if you've properly registered your brand, in this drop-down menu, it's going to appear here. So it'll pre-fill. Your product name is your title, your manufacturer, and this is very important. Ideally, your brand name and your manufacturer name are the same thing. However, if you had a parent company that owns the brand, you'd list that here. What's important is that you have uniformity between columns C and E in every single item you create, unless you have multiple brands. So make sure this is something you do here, because you'll get screwed up when you do full updates later or want to do variations. And let's say, for example, you've typed in your manufacturer name differently than previous ASINs. You want C and E to be consistent between your whole catalog. So now that we've covered that, your product ID and your ID type are essentially going to be your UPC or your GTIN or something other, your ASIN, so that the system knows the proper identifier type. Item keyword type is going to be drop down, such as we previously selected deodorants. Unit, basically one, is it a count, is it an ounce, is it a fluid ounce, but you'll tell the system the unit count type and the unit count. and then form. If it's a liquid, a gel, a powder, etc. Is it heat sensitive? Now, don't think this is just protecting yourself. If it's not heat sensitive, don't say heat sensitive. The reason is because you don't want Amazon to classify your item as something that melts, and then they'll ask you to forcibly remove it from FBA. Your number of items, expiration. We don't have to go through everything on this list. Just know that the things that are highlighted with a red outline are required. The others are all optional. So you're going to fill out those required fields. Each line item here will be a new product. You're going to select full update here. Update, not partial. Partial is for like small changes. Full update is going to override everything already in the system. Your manufacturer part number, which frequently is the same as your seller SKU, but it doesn't have to be. Product description, your model number, again, which is frequently the same as your part number. So there's going to be some redundancy of information here. And then, you can fast forward through some of this. It may ask you to auto-select. If you've got different size, colors, scents, that's where you add those here. Your search terms, which are going to be the hidden terms. You can give those like a little bit of a boost on the back end for your relevance. You add those. But this file is going to go through various features of your item, and if you have a parent-child variation, we'll have to go through that in another video. You would input that here. Is it a parent? Is it a child? What's the relationship? The theme of the variation, color, size, quantity, style, etc. Further down here, we get to your measurements in the event it's going to FBA. Yada who. So you'd fill this out. It has all your bullet features in here, your product description, everything. You'd save this file. You'd go back into your Seller Central, right? And now you're going to upload your spreadsheet. From here, you drag and drop. If you want to issue an email alert, if you have to, for example, leave, come back to it. But you'd upload your file. And then in this other menu here, this link is where you'd manage the success of that upload. So it's very common to see, files that have failed, and you have to work through various errors. For example, if the system does find a conflict in the existing catalog, it's going to show up there, and it may expect you to change some of the data in that file to reflect the information that's already in the system. So we had that happen this week with a client, and a couple of items were, which they thought were new, were pre-existing, and we have to go back and either get in line with the pre-existing data, or if the pre-existing data is wrong, and this is why you want brand registry, you have to go to them and tell them you're the brand owner and override the bad data. So that process can take several add deletes over a 24-hour period. But that's how we would resolve that. And it's also, again, why it's so important to do your brand registration first, because in the event you run into catalog issues, Amazon's really not going to help you to max capacity because they can't tell your brand owner. So hope this video helps a little bit, and that it's not too long or too confusing. We'll make some additional videos on other details, tips and tricks for new sellers here on the market. Happy selling, good luck, and let me know how you like this video.